Lately, weird things have been happening in this town. Last week, that woman's suicide. Apparently, she already felt very guilty. Nobody explains how it happened because it is something extraordinary, it is something horrible, something inexplicable. Now nothing is the same. The streets that were once lit by those great torches are now dark and desolate. The happy sunsets, filled with children playing and families sharing, are now only memories. Today, silence abounds here, and the only thing that is perceived from time to time are those screams of pain, those cries that frighten us so much, those agonizing sounds that indicate a new victim. And nobody knows when it will stop, nobody knows who will be next, no one understands why it had to happen. He has no compassion. It all started a couple of months ago. There's a rumor that Dinara had been raped and that she went crazy ever since. She used to be a very faithful Catholic, of all of those aficionated women who prayed all day. She even was being prepared to become a nun. But that day of tragedy for her, changed everything. She went mad, very mad, and she felt very disappointed with God for allowing it to happen, for allowing this guy to abuse of her. Also, the worst thing was that she got pregnant of a baby that would always remind her of what ruined her life. Then she made a decision that she should never have made. With anger and with rancor, she spoke to the devil, or that's what they say. She asked him to help her avenge her tragedy, and in response he proposed that she help him bringing to earth a misfortune, whom they now call Damian. Here in the town, they call him Damian because they say he is the son of the devil, and I think that is how he is called, I don't know. Apparently, the only thing that he came to do here was to torture and kill people in the most violent ways, and he will not stop until he's done with everyone. People say that at the time he was born, he was a dark and deformed creature, with horns, goat legs, and a long, sharp tail. As soon as he was born, he escaped through the window, and Dinara knew nothing more about him until she heard about his first victims. They were the Copper Warriors. They had just moved here. One night, we began to hear horrible screams of suffering coming from their house. Then we called the police, and they went to investigate their house to see what had happened. When they entered, the screams subsided, and they found traces of blood in the form of hoofs throughout the house, on the ceiling, and on the walls. No one could explain this. This is impossible. Then they continued to the room where the couple slept and found their corpses laying on the floor. They were all abused and scratched. Apparently, they bled to death. Both of them, they seemed good people. The next day, when all the town knew what had happened, Inara took her life off. I'm sure she felt too responsible for it. I'm so sorry for Inara. Since then, there have been already 13 more victims. Everyone wants to go. Anyone could be next. And the fact that Inara's suicide make it worse. We are all freaked out, so we went to the church to ask for help to the village priest, and he said the following.
I have already heard the rumors of what has been happening, and believe me, we have been aware. I've been investigating all the last week, and I know who we're facing. Apparently, when Anara summoned the devil, he brought abandon to the world. Yes, Abaddon, a very violent and fierce demon. According to the Bible, He was fallen angel who was responsible for making men to sin. So once in hell, he could torture them. There are legends that say that enjoy seeing people suffering, and he someday could somehow enter into the world of the mortals. He would torture everyone until there was none left, and that is what he is doing. Surely you will ask yourselves, how do I know? Well, I compared his look and his actions with the Bible, and I already know he is. 5 days ago, he came here to the church. Surely he came here to harm me, but he could not enter, because the demons can't enter to the temple of God. Then I saw he was like, I was completely paralyzed to see how terrifying it was. And yes, indeed, he was like some of you described it to me. He had big, sharp-boned horns, teeth that looked like knives, a long tail, strong legs like these of a bull, and a layer of dirty, scratchy hair that covered his entire body. Just like is described Abaddon in the Bible, and also are the same, so that's him. Now that we should all do is take refuge here in the church, since it's the only safe place. There is not another solution.
Then we all went to prepare food, water, blankets, all the necessary resources to move into the church and to stay there until a miracle happened and saved us. There had already passed 2 months and 3 days, and the beast is still outside. He is staying around, observing attentively, waiting for someone to go out. Resources are running out, and we don't know what to do. We are all going to die, either of hunger or in the clutches of this dreadful creature. The only thing we can do now is pray and wait, but there is no hope. These few days we have left are going to be the worst.